volunteers in Brisbane, Australia host a Lunar New Year event and promote a meat-free diet. A fire damages apartment of a person with polio in New Taipei as 50 Tzu Chi volunteers help clean up. I'm Sean Scanlon. This is DaAi Headlines. Let's get started. In Brisbane, Australia, Tzu Chi volunteers rented a venue for a Lunar New Year party, which included performances from people of all ages. They also promoted vegetarian food. Here's more.
It's such a long year. Oh my God, I've been locked down for so long. I cannot go overseas, I cannot go to Bali. The restaurants are closed down. I feel miserable. Let's check with my animal friend, see if they're still alive.
For this year's Lunar New Year celebrations in Australia, not only was there an entertaining vegetarian promotion play, there were also outstanding sign language performances. Having the playfulness of young children, the energy of adolescents, and the gracefulness of adults, performers of different ages brought different impressions to the stage.
Every time I participate in Tzu Chi's events, I always feel very deeply moved for almost the entire event. Watching the events today actually gave me goosebumps. It really moved me deeply and emotionally.
With a total of 412 people participating, the performers organized both a Chinese and an English performance. Apart from maintaining pandemic safety measures, they also strive to bring the deepest emotions to the audience.
I don't feel like I realised how many of the countries were suffering throughout the pandemic, and I certainly didn't realise the reach that Tzu Chi had and how much wonderful work they did during the pandemic. That was very impressive.
Can I say it'd be a wonderful world if we could go vegetarian. The impact of eating meat every day is quite concerning. So if I can encourage my law enforcement friends to go vegetarian, I think that's one step further.
Reflecting on the past and looking forward to the future, gathering the wishes of all the people, they all hope that the new year will be better.
In Malaysia, schools open on March 1st. Many parents prepared school supplies for their children, while low-income families struggle to afford this additional cost. Tzu Chi volunteers reached out to ensure all children can pursue their education. Take a look.
Muhammad Yasmin has polio and diabetes, and therefore it is difficult for him to find a job. He relies on subsidies provided by the government and Tzu Chi. Despite the difficulties, he insists on sending 4 children to school.
We are not educated, so we want to send the children to school so that they can become smarter. It's alright that we work hard and send them to school. We need to think for the children. When they grow up and improve their lives, they cannot forget Tzu Chi.
Volunteers appreciate Muhammad Yasmin's insistence. Therefore, they provide supplies for the children before school reopens.
Bagi yang beg kan, beg baru kan. Okey tak? Boleh tunjuk kan? Baru sudah 2 hari je ada Shopee.
Suka maya beg.
Muhammad Yasmin's wife recalls how Tzu Chi volunteers accompanied them during their difficult days and cannot hold back her tears.
When we were facing difficulties, no one called us to tackle us about whether we ate meals or care for us. However, Tzu Chi volunteers kept calling us to care for us. They worried about us. I'm very grateful. No words can describe my feelings.
Single father Muhammad Hafiz raises 6 children on his own. Although his children have reached the schooling ages, Muhammad Hafiz, who works as a part-time security guard, cannot afford their tuitions.
My children need to go to school, and only Tzu Chi provides help. There is no other subsidies. I cannot work in the daytime, and I can only work at night. I work as a nighttime security guard, and I take care of my children in the daytime.
Muhammad Hafiz, who plays the role of a mother, takes care of his children in the daytime and works at night. As a result, he does not get enough rest and cannot help his children with schoolwork. Therefore, Tzu Chi volunteers hope to find a suitable daycare center so the children can have a good learning environment.
We kept telling the father to send the children to school, or else, when they grow up and have their own families, they will still walk the same path. We try our best to look for schools. If we cannot find daycare centers or after-school study centers for them, Since the father cannot work, obtaining meals is a problem and daily living is another problem. Muhammad Yasmin's family is grateful to Tzu Chi volunteers, and Muhammad Hafiz and his children are also learning. It is hoped that they will be able to pursue a brighter future and change their fate.
In Malaysia, the pandemic meant that students at Tzu Chi Kindergarten in Johor Bahru could only return to school at the end of February, with many children expressing their excitement about heading back to school.
As the children are finally able to head back to school, they are full of smiles and excitement.
Yes, I'm very happy because I'm able to head back to class.
At school, because I'm able to meet with my friends, I feel happy, very happy.
Some even brought back a special gift to school.
It's so heavy. This is my bamboo coin bank. It's filled with coins, so it's very heavy right now. It's too heavy and I'm unable to pick it up. I brought it here today to pass it to my teachers. By doing so, the money can be used to help those in need.
For the 4-year-old students, although it's their first time at school, but they are not shy at all.
Maybe it's because we have interactions with the children online for the past few months, so they won't feel like we're complete strangers. Actually, most of the children are able to have their meals all by themselves. With the supervision of adults, they are also able to use the restrooms themselves and also wash their hands. Most of the kids can complete this all by themselves.
In order to provide a safe environment for the students, the teachers have put in a lot of effort, making sure to carry out all the pandemic prevention measures.
Whenever the children finish using any items, we'll then sanitize it immediately. It's just a precaution that we disinfect all the used items so that the parents need not worry. Whatever items that the children come into contact were disinfected after they finish using it, so parents really do not need to worry.
By abiding with the pandemic prevention regulations, not only can they protect themselves, they are also cherishing the opportunity they can head back to school to study.
In Penang, Malaysia, Island Hospital donated 137 desktops to Tzu Chi. After repairing and restoration by volunteers, these computers have been delivered to children from low-income families, enabling the children to participate in online lessons.
The second-hand computers donated by Penang Island Hospital have been repaired and restored by recycling volunteers and also entrepreneurs. Over 100 computers are still able to function normally.
Our goal is to find those disadvantaged families or the schools in remote areas and to give them these computers. We hope that they can have a better education environment, as education is vital for the children to have a better future.
During the pandemic, online lessons have become the norm. For low-income families, buying a computer set is also a heavy burden. On this day, a team of entrepreneurs in Penang has delivered the computers to Shan Children's Home.
We're here today at the children's home to help install these computers. Right now, they are unable to head to school to study, and they are in need of computers so that they can participate in the online lessons. For some children, it might also be their first time using a computer.
I feel very happy. We just spend a little time and effort, and we're able to help those who are really in need. I feel very blessed and contented.
We thank you for donating the 2 desktop computers to us, because now with the COVID, children have to learn through the computer. There are a lot of online classes, so your computer is here at the right time to help our children.
After completing the installation of computers, the children are able to see themselves on the computer screen. Only smiles are seen on the children's faces.
We are so happy that we are getting desktop because now we are having online classes, so it's very easy for using computer that you are sponsored.
Yeah, we use it so we enjoy. Suddenly we get a desktop by y'all, and thank you a lot for your donation.
With the new computers, the children finally have equal chance in receiving education. Here's to hoping that this group of children will have a bright future ahead.
In Indonesia, Jakarta Tzu Chi volunteers bring daily supplies and subsidies to care recipients who cannot go to the Tzu Chi office. They provide love and care to these families in need, including a boy suffering from leukemia.
Carrying daily supplies on the street is a monthly routine of Jakarta Tzu Chi volunteers. They're delivering supplies and living subsidies to care recipients who cannot go out. 18-year-old Innocent looks like a normal teenager. However, 6 years ago, he suffered from leukemia and his mother sought medical help everywhere.
From October in 2015 till January the next year, my son was being treated at hospital in North Jakarta. Then we ran out of money, so we stopped the treatment. I felt hopeless back then.
Fortunately, in 2016, through a doctor's referral, Tzu Chi volunteers began to help the boy and his family.
We can feel their help, and this is not for the short term, such as 1 or 2 months. Up till now, I still receive help from Tzu Chi.
Another mother who has received help from Tzu Chi is this mother who raises 5 children on her own. Her eldest daughter, who's 14, has cerebral palsy and cannot care for herself. Fortunately, Tzu Chi volunteers visit them monthly, bring milk powder, diapers, and living subsidies.
I cannot continue to feel depressed, as I need to be strong. With Tzu Chi's help and volunteers' care, I have become stronger.
Tzu Chi volunteers deliver help to different families, bring hope to forgotten corners of society.
A fire occurred in an apartment in New Taipei Sanzhong district. The resident has polio, and 50 Tzu Chi volunteers came out to help the man clean his apartment in just a couple of hours.
This old apartment has been destroyed by a fire. All the furniture has been moved out already, and the rest needs to be demolished. However, Mr. Xu has not been able to do that on his own.
His mother has Alzheimer's and his sister is in Xinjiang. He is not married and needs a little help. I'm very grateful Tzu Chi has enacted so many people to help him today.
Mr. Xu has polio, which hinders his physical condition and makes it difficult to clean up after the fire on his own. Thankfully, his neighbor knew who to call for help.
I saw my neighbor cleaning up after the fire on his own, and it didn't look like he was making much of a progress. So I called to the sister Jian Gan and asked her if she can rally up people to help him clean up once and for all. This way he can start the repairs faster.
The apartment is located in a narrow alleyway, and items which needed to be scrapped were relayed out by the volunteers. Thanks to the massive show up of volunteers, it took just about 2 hours for everything to be completed.
I started the cleanup on Wednesday and continued until yesterday. I didn't think I had any influence to call on people to help me because I never reached out to help anyone, so I didn't dare ask. I know Tzu Chi volunteers are very compassionate. Thank you, Tzu Chi, for all of your assistance.
Tzu Chi people are all about helping wherever help is needed. We had hoped to quickly clean up his home so that the recipient can return to his life as soon as possible.
United with one goal in mind, the volunteers came together to help Mr. Xu in his time of need. In the aftermath of the cleanup event, the volunteers will continue to call on him to see if he needs further assistance.
Ms. Wen is a Vietnamese-Chinese person who moved to Taiwan to seek work. She eventually got married, and 7 years ago her husband fell and severely injured himself. Tzu Chi volunteers lent a helping hand and even repaired their roof and electric wiring in their home. Here's more.
请人来，人家这帮我补，他都不来了。他说以后你不要叫我了。他说你屋顶那么。
The situation is quite sad. She doesn't have any relatives here or someone for support. She doesn't have friends here. She heads out each morning at 8 and then comes back at 5. Her whole life revolves around this family.
The home is hanging on by a thread, much like how Wen is.
After she gets off work at 2 p.m., she goes to the hospital to visit her husband to help him with physical therapy. She rides the scooter there. It's a long journey. Then when she comes back, she picks up her kid.
Wen's husband fell from a height when working, injuring himself severely.
At the nursing home, they are not responsible for physical therapy. They just move you to take in the meal and take you back to sleep. No one is there to help him walk. If you want someone to do that, it is 300 New Taiwan dollar a day.
Miss Wen is a Chinese from Vietnam, and she moved to Taiwan to find work, where she also met her husband. She thought her husband would take care of her forever.
你叫什么名字？哦，哦，你叫什么名字？叔叔的名字叫什么名字？不是啦，你的名字啦。张炳聪。啊，聪。你好。你好。
But now she must learn how to take care of her husband and family.
I asked her, Mei Xuan, how can you be so caring for your husband and visit him each day to do therapy? She replied, when he was well, her husband took really good care of her and loved her.
Her roof is not in a good condition. Much of it has been deteriorated by the wind, so it's brittle and is prone to leaks. Many of the structural beams have been eaten away and need replacement as well.
In less than a week, the roof of their home was revamped. The road leading to the home was redone. The electrical wires and lights have been changed, and the toilet as well as the water reserve tower fixed.
The wooden panels have been laid out, and there are waterproof tarps added, which helps to prevent water leaking. Do you know what I mean? Even if the roof tiles are removed, water still won't seep through because the tarp is laid out. You don't have to worry anymore.
In Taichung, there's a centenarian who leads a very happy lifestyle. Although she's unable to head outside, she's able to play checkers and also created some fun games inside her house as part of her daily exercise. Take a look at her story.
Deserted and lonely are the terms that come to our minds when we talk about solitary seniors. But for Grandma Zheng Wu Bi Tao, that's not the case.
She knows how to play checkers and writes calligraphy. She also has a very good relationships with the neighbors.
Grandma Zheng is 100 years old this year. Although she has trouble listening clearly, she still has various ways to entertain herself. She plays checkers on her own and also plays in 3 different roles. All 3 styles of play are different, as she uses this to train her brain's thinking logic. After the game of checkers, it's time for exercises. The empty PET bottles have been converted into bowling pins. Besides training her eyes and limbs coordination, she also needs to have enough strength. Aiming the paper box and throwing the ping pong balls inside is another sport for her. Inside the box, there are straws to prevent the balls from bouncing out. Her neighbors have also shown high interest towards her little sports room. Grandma received Japanese education when she was young and then became a Japanese teacher. She did not give birth but adopted 4 children.
The 4 of us were very playful when we were young, so my mother made the toys by herself, like the bowling ball and ping pong ball.
Grandma's creative ideas have been used in her daily life, and she also cleans up her house regularly.
I just do what a child does, such as drawing and looking at the comics. I would also play the games that I'm interested in. By doing so, I feel very calm and happy, and I would not have any worries.
She also maintains a habit of diary writing every day. Her beautiful writing is just like her happy lifestyle, very fine, yet very interesting.
Visual artist Xin Qian Huang uses technology to explore the world of VR. When he was 4 years old, his right cornea was damaged, causing a loss of vision in one eye. At the age of 14, when he received corneal transplant from a donor in Sri Lanka, his vision was restored. Here's more.
When I was little, my right eye was injured, so I started around 4 years old. My mother took me to different places trying to find cure for my eyes.
Maybe it's because of his poor eyesight in the past. Xing Jianhuang is especially hooked on the topic of sight. After he graduated from NTU's Department of Mechanical Engineering, arriving in the United States, he dedicated his time to visual art. During his stay, he also worked on La Camera Insabiata with musician Laurie Anderson, receiving an award for Best VR Experience at the Venice Film Festival. At that time, his father passed away.
就会发现说，其实人死的这样的一个过程中，我们其实是慢慢失去了我们的对这个世界的感知。
I discovered that in the process of death, we actually slowly lose our conception of our surroundings. We first lose sight, and inside, we lose color recognition first. In La Camera Insabiata, it's a large world, and you may fly around freely as a soul. The walls are constructed by blackboards, because blackboards are similar to human memory. It can be erased and rewritten repetitively.
它其实很像人的记忆，就是说它可以不断的擦掉，也可以不断的写上去。
Exploring the topic of death, Xing Jianhuang, through technology, expresses his emotions towards the deceased. His work, Bodiless, included a story told by his mother, a reminiscent of the past.
是当我有了2只眼睛的时候，开始看到这些景深，然后。
When I have 2 eyes to see scenery, I'm deeply attracted by the process of looking at something. On another perspective, I'm looking at the world through my donor's eyes, he whom passed away. So half of my world is perceived through an eye from someone that passed away. And I also feel very grateful to him.
有一半是从死去的人的眼睛看到的。我觉得这个大概也是一个会让我觉得非常感恩。
Willing to take on different challenges, Xing Jianhuang also stepped into the field of mass entertainment. At Jonathan Lee's performance, he displayed lyrics in a creative way during a live concert.
那时候我就想到一个以前听过的一个童话故事吧，就是说他说好像有一个国王，他有3个儿子，他想要传位给。
At the time, I thought of a fairy tale of when a king had 3 sons, and he wanted to pass his throne to the smartest son. So he thought of a test, giving a coin to each person and telling them to buy something that fills up the room. The younger son bought a candle, and when the candle lights up, the entire room is filled with light. So this story inspired me to use light, and when we did it, it was around 3 tons. We make a large lantern. On the lantern, you can see popular lyrics from Jonathan Lee.
雷射切割一个巨大的灯笼这样子，那上面是把李宗盛过去非常脍炙人口的歌词都雷射切割在上面。
Crossing the fields of mass entertainment and artistic creations, Xing Jianhuang's artworks have certainly created resonance amongst audiences, as if the artwork themselves have the ability to communicate.
At a park in Sanzhong, Taiwan, recycled objects were turned into cartoon characters and robots, beautifying the park and promoting environmental protection. We leave you with these images. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.